a Wednesday. It's a Caitlyn Clark Wednesday. How grateful are we? How lucky are we in June? You know, this industry is football season and waiting for football, that Caitlyn Clark has become a leading source of content. Or we could talk about Aaron Rodgers. I am for Caitlyn Clark. J-Mac texted me last night, the gift that keeps on giving. I do think the media is prone to do this. The media tends to be very reactionary, and the fans generally get it more than the media. So I want to start with this, J-Mac. The WNBA has arrived. Caitlyn Clark's gotten really good really fast. It's like the end of year 1 for Michael Jordan or year 3 for Michael Jordan. She's gotten really good really fast. And you got to put a body on her, or you got to double team her, or she's going to embarrass you. She's shooting 33-footers. And what happened last night's a byproduct of that. This is what happened to MJ. She's number 1 and 2 in every offensive stat. She's hitting more threes this season than Steph Curry did in his first MVP season. And her game embarrasses you. So like men's basketball, J.C. Sheldon had the task of stopping the latest superstar in her basketball league. And this thing was chatty in the second quarter. It was chatty. They've got history. It was trash talking. And then in the third quarter, Sheldon poked her in the eye again. This is something we see all the time. They were on each other. They were talking. It was trashy. The superstar like MJ, unstoppable, poke her in the eye, and that's a flagrant foul, and it should have been a flagrant foul. And then Marina Mabry, this is inappropriate, came over, knocked her over. Many thought she should have been thrown out of the game. Well, she didn't get a technical. It's a little bad boys Pistons with MJ. For the record, Caitlyn Clark got up. She wasn't hurt. She did more trash talking. She hit more threes. She remained remarkable, just like all the great. If you respect women, stop pandering. She's tough. She's feisty. She likes to taunt and talk, and nobody quite knows what the hell to do. I mean, when Candace Parker, 10 years ago, Candace Parker led this sport, WNBA, in assists with 6 a game. Caitlyn Clark's not only the best guard, the best shooter, hitting 33-footers. They're flashy and kind of embarrass you. She's averaging 9 assists a game. She's changed the entire tempo of the sport. Forget the merchandise. That's another segment. So they don't know what to do. Hack-a-shack. Mike Dunleavy, coaching the Blazers. We can't stop him. And we have Arvydas Sabonis. Steph Curry's first couple years in the league. Thank God for Draymond Green. And by the way, this league, they knew what they were getting into, right? Like, and I'll get to this in a second, but they brought Sophie Cunningham over in a trade for a reason. She's the youngest black belt in the state of Missouri's history, 6 years old. They brought her over to protect Caitlyn Clark because they saw this puppy coming. The league doesn't quite know what to do, but the Fever did. And so, again, you got to put a body on her. You got to get physical. If you go look at the history of basketball, high school, college, WNBA, NBA, if there's an offensive player and they're humiliating you, Steph, Shaq, MJ, Caitlyn, what do? You can't trap her. She'll dribble through it. You got to put a body on her. You got to double team her. You try to get in her head with trash talking. It's not working at all. It's the ultimate compliment, in my opinion. But take a deep breath. Caitlyn bounced up. The eye couldn't have been gouged that violently because she could see just fine, draining jumpers after. Do I think it crossed a line? Yeah, that's why we had a flagrant foul and a technical. And do I think the officials are trying to figure out how quite to officiate her? Yes, I was at the Blazers-Lakers series in Los Angeles. I know where I was sitting behind the basket when Kobe hit Shaq for the slam dunk. And I looked over at Bob Whitsitt, at the time the GM of the Blazers, and thought, we had Arvydas Sabonis with the Blazers. We couldn't stop him. They didn't know how to officiate him. This is what happens when a superstar emerges. And here is the coach of the Fever after.
This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right, out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. They got to get control of it. They got to be better. They got to be better.
Can you specifically detail what you mean by get control of the game, just to be in your words?
Get control of the game is call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor.
Okay, so, and again, let's go to the next level on this. So everybody's going to be okay. There was a technical, there was a flagrant, and the officials in the WA are kind of figuring out how do we officiate this thing? Okay, they've never had a Caitlyn Clark. How do we officiate this thing? How do we officiate Shaq? How do we officiate Curry when they're coming after him? How do we officiate bad boys, tackling? What's legal? Finally, the NBA stepped in and said no hand checking. No, forearm in the back. Like, this stuff is a work in progress. And so the first year Caitlyn Clark was in the WNBA, they were hazing her. They're not hazing her anymore. They're just trying to figure out how the hell to stop her. Okay, it's not hazing. It's, all right, traps, pressure. So the Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan. And I said this last year several times. The WNBA is not a vertical league. Their players can't jump over each other to score like the NBA. It's a horizontal chippy league. And you didn't watch the NBA for the last 10 to 12 years. It has always been physical and always been chippy. You get into a lot of collisions because there's no Ja Morant here. There's no Ant Edwards. They don't jump over. It's a horizontal physical league. And Caitlyn Clark now is like kerosene to the physicality flame. So you have physicality in this league, and now you get this flashy player, and they don't know how to officiate her. They don't know how to defend her. But I would say, when I hear this, Colin, the WNBA, Colin, has got to do something. Yes, they do. Understand, this is the arc of a new superstar in your league. It'll start with hazing. It'll go to physicality. It'll go to flagrants. It may go to technicals. You'll eventually have to get a Sophie Cunningham or a Charles Oakley. I mean, Wayne Gretzky did this for years. They figured it out in hockey. How do you stop Gretzky? Oh, we can't. How do you stop MJ? We can't. How do you stop Caitlyn Clark? You guys understand, this is the worst she'll ever be. She's getting better, and they can't stop her. And so, but I also want you to watch this, because I've always said this. The media may overreact to stuff. The fans and American public usually doesn't. Watch the retaliation later by Sophie Cunningham. And again, this is inappropriate, right? No, it's what happens in basketball. But I want you to watch, as this scrum's going on, watch the fans behind Sophie Cunningham. Watch them. They're smiling. They're engaged. They're happy. They're not horrified. The Indiana fans understand what they're seeing. It's part of the process. Those people in Indiana, they've gone to the Knick games and Spike Lee and Reggie Miller. They watched the Heat. Look at the fans. They're grabbing their phones. They're taking pictures. I'm thinking the whole night, did Nick Khan take over the WNBA? We got a little WWE going on here. And the fans get it. The media, in my opinion, the media does a disservice, sports media, political media, by overreacting to everything. And the Indiana fans are like, this is fun. This is real. The WNBA now, you go to those games, there are nights. The Fever outdrew the Pacers. Pacers are in the finals. So the fans here are not freaking out. They're booing. Honest to God, it feels like a little, sports isn't terrible if it's got a little WWE. And basketball, like international soccer, has always been personality and star-driven. And when new stars emerge, I can remember Christian Pulisic, his first World Cup, and some of the, quote, friendlies, they were tackling him. And never been an American can do that. He played Mexico, maybe Canada. What do you do when a star emerges? You can't stop them. Their game is flashy. It goes from hazing to physicality to flagrants to ejections. It's part of it. The only good thing about getting old, and I'm not that old, but I'm kind of old, is you've seen all this stuff before. I've seen this like 8 times. I saw it in hockey with Gretzky. So listen, if you watch Gordon Ramsay, the greatest chef in the world, right, or one of them, it gets toxic in that kitchen. John Taffer in Bar Rescue, it gets toxic. Change, people don't like change, but intensity and heat create steel. This will only make Caitlyn Clark a better player. It will only make the Fever more championship ready. And the Indiana fans, good for you. You're going to have the great watch of the next 15 years because they're never trading her. She's the Steph Curry. They're never trading her. She starts here, college here, or near here. And by the way, that whole scrum and that retaliation and the delays in the game that everybody's freaking out over. Caitlyn Clark's like, can we get back to playing?
Honestly, the review took too long for me. I wanted to get playing basketball again, and that's exactly what I did at the rest of the third quarter. I made all 3 free throws, and then it was a tough 3. I was excited about a 3, and, honestly, I got to give our crowd a lot of credit, too. I thought they were tremendous. They're cheering for us. They had our back, and I'm a passionate player, but at the end of the day, I'm here to play basketball, and that's what it is, and my game's going to talk, and that's all that really matters, and I love this game, and I'm going to give it everything I have, so I think that's what competitors do. You just step right back up to the challenge.
That's what competitors do. That's what they do. Let's not pander. Let's not protect. Let's understand the WNBA. I have been to a couple WNBA games. The league wasn't nearly as good or watchable 15 years ago. People could lead the league in assists with 5 or 6. Now you've got multiple players at 9 and 10. People are shooting 33-footers. Watch a WNBA game. If go watch the highlights on YouTube of this game. Look at the passing. Look at the physicality. Look at the shooting. This league is growing in front of our eyes. Now, Caitlyn Clark is obviously the jet fuel. Half the audience goes when she's not there, but that's okay. It took Conor McGregor to the UFC and John Jones. It sometimes in emerging leagues, it takes a superstar. And now, America is all into UFC. But it does take sometimes these special athletes. And it can get really, really bumpy. But if you really respect all these amazing women's athletes, then take a deep breath. Nobody got hurt. J-Mac, that was so fun. By the way, if you do go to the YouTube WNBA highlights, they edit out the fighting part.
No.
Well, of course they do. So you have to go get that separately. But the point is, you're old enough to know. I mean, those Knicks teams with Pat Riley, those were tackling exercises for years. There's videos of Kurt Rambis being slammed to the floor.
Right.
This stuff was, and I think fans know this. When Sophie Cunningham comes down and tackles the girl, it's like, hey, I'm protecting my star. Right. And my take was, this is the process. We're going to let you know at the end of the game. You're not getting out of this arena without us retaliating. That is a message to every other WNBA team. You're going for a driving layup. You treat our player like that. This is how we're going to treat yours. That may get a technical, but that was a message, and that's okay.
So the Lakers, Kurt Rambis stuff in the 80s, the teams didn't like each other. They were rivals.
Right.
This, Colin, is different. This is many players around the league not liking Caitlyn Clark, or they're jealous of her success. I know people tried to make this a racial thing. Well, what happened last night was not racial. That's just hate, and they just don't like Caitlyn Clark. They don't like the attention she's getting. I mean, the eye poke was so blatant, and the announcer, as soon as Caitlyn Clark got knocked over, was like, oh, she's going to get ejected. They didn't eject the girl. Can you believe that?
I say this. I wouldn't have been bothered if she was ejected. I'm not bothered that she wasn't. It's obviously a cheap shot. Yeah, it's a cheap shot. Caitlyn Clark, by the way, got right back up.
Still. You don't want that.
I think in the reality of this is, yes, obviously that's a cheap shot.
Yeah, but what do you think the league wants, Colin? Caitlyn Clark splashing 30-foot three-pointers or 3 scrums in the Sun Fever game? They don't want this. This doesn't look great.
I think everybody's figuring out this jigsaw puzzle, and it just takes a while. When Michael Jordan came in, I mean, you're watching this stuff, and David Stern saying, "Oh my God, this guy's making our league global. Yeah. He's selling more shoes than any player in the history of the world." And David Stern's like, "We have to protect him." But yet the Pistons tackled him for years. And David Stern, the late David Stern, stepped back, let it play out, didn't protect Michael, knew eventually. Yeah. They changed some officiating. Michael, by the way, in year 2 got hurt, broke his foot, so he had year 1 and year 3. So, again, we all want immediate. The sport can be very similar to politics. We all want answers today, and everything's a process. We prepare for our show. It's a process. 90% of sports is practice, not games, right? We only see the games. You didn't see Michael Jordan punch Steve Kerr. We did see Draymond punch Poole because we have phones now. But there's a lot of stuff that happens among teams. Teams fight amongst themselves in camp. We don't see most of that, so we're so shocked when we see that bump. I got news for you. You can find scrums in the WNBA 10 years ago. They don't jump over each other. That's not what this league is. They bang into each other.
Yeah, by the way, everybody's going to see this Caitlyn Clark stuff. Oh, when's the next game? Guess where their game is televised on Thursday? Amazon Prime. Almost the Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift effect. Caitlyn Clark on Amazon Prime on Thursday.
So exciting. So you may think I'm embellishing when I say there's a lot of similarities between Michael Jordan and Caitlyn Clark. But think about this. So both were very popular in college. Caitlyn got to national championships, didn't win it, but was sensational. Michael won a title. His last 2 years in college, he didn't, but was sensational. Both had flashy games that were different. Before Michael got to the Bulls, they were awful, 27-55. First year in, he improved them by 11 games. They made the playoffs. They still weren't great, but he got them into the playoffs. Pre-Caitlyn Clark, Fever, awful. After her first year, got him into the playoffs, still weren't a great team. By the end of year one, though, for Michael, we were thinking, is this guy a top 3 player in the league? By the end of last year, outside of Asia Wilson, we're thinking, is Caitlyn a top 3 player in the league? By year 3, Michael got hurt in year 2. Year 3, Michael, MVP. Year 2 for Caitlyn, hopefully she doesn't get hurt. Will she be an MVP? She's our second right now in odds. These are very similar players. Both sold a ton of merchandise. We fell in love with them and knew them. Michael's at North Carolina winning a title, taking the shot, facing Georgetown. Everybody didn't even go number 1, but everybody's like, who is this guy? Bobby Knight at the time said, most talented guy I've ever seen in a basketball court, ever. Hey, Caitlyn Clark. Merch, popularity, bad team, gets him into the playoffs, and by the second full year of playing, are they the best player in the league? They are the MVP of the league. I mean, she is the MVP. She may not win the award. She's the MVP of the league. And in both instances, both staffs, coaching staffs and organizations understood that they had to protect their players. The Bulls went out and got Charles Oakley, the intimidator, the enforcer, to protect Michael because they started seeing how people were defending him and fouling him. Caitlyn Clark, they go and get the Fever, Sophie Cunningham. As I said earlier, 6 years old, had a black belt. Youngest black belt to this day ever granted in the state of Missouri. She's an intimidator. You saw it last night. The Fever, like the Bulls knew what they had. They had to protect their asset. And in both instances, the early Bulls coaches complained about how their star, Michael Jordan, was being treated. And the coach of the Fever, Stephanie White, saying the same thing is, hey, guys, catch up to the players.
The game has changed so much. Players are faster, they're better, they're bigger, they're stronger. They're as good as they've ever been. They're as athletic as they've ever been. The game is fast now. Things are happening quickly. Everybody's getting better, except the officials. So we got to find a way to remedy it.
Listen, Stan Albrook, Doug Collins, Phil Jackson were constantly lamenting how Michael was officiated. And again, I'm not defending the Connecticut Sun, but when you can't stop somebody, traps don't work, doubles don't work. Connecticut's like, all right, let's get the physicality route. and by the way, nobody ever stopped Shaq, really, or Michael, or Bird, or Magic, or Kobe, or Duncan, or Caitlyn Clark, or Candace Parker, or Serena Williams. The greats just endure. The greats get theirs. But you got to figure out a way to slow them down. I mean, the Pacers tried with SGA. It worked a little bit, and now it doesn't because he's going to get his. So what a night. How much fun.